The New Orleans Pelicans and the Los Angeles Clippers. Two teams that you may think have nothing in common. The Clippers, they're a veteran team. The Pelicans are one of the younger teams in the NBA. The Clippers have championship aspirations, while the Pelicans would be happy just to get to or above 500, be a number 8 seed in the playoffs. While there are obvious differences, the Pelicans and the Clippers actually have a lot in common. They share a lot of the same problems. And they are two NBA teams that I'm the most concerned about over halfway through the season. We're going to talk about the common problems with the Pelicans and the Clippers today. We're going to start with my New Orleans Pelicans, one of the most frustrating teams in the NBA. That loss to the Blazers Tuesday night is emblematic of the Pelicans team the last 2 years. Hell, it's emblematic of the Pelicans the last 8 to 10 years. There is a theme with this young squad in New Orleans. First 3 quarters of the game, they look unstoppable. Ball movement is good. They're sharing the ball, nailing threes. Zion Williamson is dominating the paint. They look like the best offense in the NBA. The problem is, when you don't play defense, or when you only play defense in spurts, you can't just flip a switch and turn it on whenever you want. Defense is all about effort, team effort. And that's not something that you just turn on in the fourth quarter when it's time to close out the game. It needs to happen for the full 48 minutes. How do you have a 17-point lead with 6 minutes to go and lose? I mean, that is inexplicable. And as a fan of the Pelicans, it's very frustrating. It's deja vu all over again. Here we go again. A team loaded with talent that is underachieving and on their way to missing the playoffs. The Pelicans have been losing games like this, games they should win, all season. And they're going to continue to lose if they don't decide to commit 100% on the defensive end. All these young players in New Orleans care about is offense. The problem with that, at some point in the game, the shots stop falling. The offense loses its rhythm. It's inevitable. It is going to happen. The NBA is a game of runs. When you don't have defense that you can fall back on, you'll see a 17-point lead evaporate in 6 minutes. And it happens consistently with this Pelicans team. Bottom line is, the New Orleans Pelicans can't close games. They don't know how to win. Last year, in year 1 with Zion Williamson, that was excusable. Everyone's getting used to playing with each other, and that's still happening now. Look, I don't want to be too harsh on the Pelicans. Zion Williamson's not even a full year into his NBA career yet. My issue is, though, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back with the Pelicans. I'm not seeing enough progress. I'm seeing the same problems this season that I saw last season. Stan Van Gundy takes the brunt of the blame for it too, and I think unfairly. At some point, it's not the coach, it's the players. At some point, the players have to be held accountable. Last year, everyone blamed Alvin Gentry for the problems in New Orleans, myself included. We need a coach that emphasizes defense. We need a coach with experience teaching players to defend and focus on defense. That's what all of us were saying. And that's exactly what we got. David Griffin hired Stan Van Gundy. He slowed the pace offensively and pushed the focus of the Pelicans to the defensive end. At least that's how it was supposed to happen. But here we are, 40 games into the regular season, and the Pelicans are actually worse defensively than they were last year. 28th in defensive rating. Last year they were 19th. 27th in opponents' points per game. And they have a tendency to play to the level of their opponents too, which is common with young teams in the NBA, but it's still a problem nonetheless. For example, in the past month, the Pelicans have beaten the Celtics, Jazz, the Clippers, 3 of the best teams in the NBA. They've also, in that same span, lost to the Pistons, gotten beat by the Timberwolves by 30 points. Up, down, up, down, up, down. One of the main problems with the Pelicans is a lack of leadership. Who's the leader on this team? Is it Lonzo Ball? Brandon Ingram? Zion Williamson? No, no, and no. There's no clear leader. There's not that guy who holds everyone accountable. Now, is Stan Van Gundy the right coach for the Pelicans? I don't know. I really don't know. But like I said earlier, at some point, it is not a coaching issue anymore. I know the Pelicans are young, and I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I worry that if this level of play continues, Zion Williamson's going to be gone. Well, he's under contract for another 2 years, and the Pelicans have his rights to extend his contract after that. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But who gives a damn? That doesn't matter. Player contracts in the NBA are absolutely worthless. Now, Zion Williamson's happy in New Orleans right now, today, but he's young. If the Pelicans keep losing like this year after year, Zion Williamson's going to want out, contract or not. All he's got to do is go public with a trade demand, and David Griffin is going to have no other choice but to move him or deal with a disgruntled superstar who disrupts your locker room. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Clippers, who are going through many of the same problems that the Pelicans are going through. Inconsistency, no defense, which is supposed to be one of the Clippers' strengths, defense. Patrick Beverley seems to have lost a step defensively. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, two of the better defenders in the NBA, yet the Clippers rank 18th in defensive rating. I mean, what the hell is going on with this team? Before beating Dallas Monday night, the Clippers had lost 5 of their last 7 games. They were beat down by the Grizzlies, embarrassed by New Orleans Sunday night. I remember last year down in the bubble in Orlando, after the Clippers were bounced from the playoffs, and it was all Doc Rivers' fault. Everybody was blaming Doc Rivers. You remember that? Last I checked, Doc Rivers is coaching in Philadelphia this season. Who the hell's fault is it now in Los Angeles? Can't blame Doc Rivers. Now, is it Ty Lue? Really? It's Ty Lue's fault now? Is that what people are going to say if the Clippers get bounced early from the playoffs again? After they were embarrassed by the Pelicans Sunday night, Kawhi Leonard said that he was very concerned about his team. He said that there's no consistency. They lack energy. And those are 2 things that you have to be a great team in the NBA. Now, I'm paraphrasing here, but that was the gist of his point. And Kawhi Leonard's absolutely right. They have a great example of consistency and nightly effort in the same building with them in Los Angeles. LeBron James and the Lakers. Here's my problem with what Kawhi Leonard said, though. These are the same problems that the Clippers were dealing with last season. The Clippers were my favorite to win it all last year. I thought they were going through growing pains during the regular season, learning to play together, and that they would be fine once the playoffs come around. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. The role players on a team are going to follow the example and the style of the superstar players. Both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are the worst examples to follow. There are nights Paul George looks like he couldn't care about playing basketball. Then you have Kawhi Leonard with all of his load management garbage. The NBA season started late December. Kawhi Leonard's already missed 8 games. Did not play, inactive, did not play, did not dress. And he has the audacity to call out the rest of his team for effort and consistency? Kawhi Leonard is the last guy who should be calling anyone out for not giving effort on a nightly basis. You don't get that benefit when you practice load management. I don't care that you're a superstar player. You can't take games off, then criticize teammates for their lack of effort. It doesn't work that way. One reason I was so confident in the Clippers going into the playoffs last year, even with all the drama and the problems they had going on during the regular season, is because they had Doc Rivers. I had faith that Doc Rivers could right the ship and lead them through the playoffs. He couldn't do it. I don't have that level of faith in Ty Lue. The biggest problem with the Clippers, and it was their biggest problem last season, and it's the same problem that the Pelicans have, the Clippers have no leadership. Who is the leader on the floor for the Clippers? Who's the guy holding people accountable? Both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are quiet dudes. It actually surprised the hell out of me when Kawhi made those comments after the Pelicans lost the other night about effort and consistency. You can't win a championship in the NBA without a leader on the team. Name one championship team that was leaderless. It hasn't happened. My question is, who's going to take the blame this year if the Clippers are bounced from the playoffs? Just like I said with the Pelicans, at some point, the players have to be held accountable. It can't always be the head coach. I'm not falling for it again this season with the Clippers. I have no faith in this team when it comes to the playoffs. You can't just get to playoff basketball and just flip on a switch. Paul George has made a career of disappearing in big moments in the playoffs. And if it happens again, if the Clippers see an early playoff exit, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kawhi Leonard opted out of his contract and left. Now, what do you guys think? Is Stan Van Gundy the right coach for the Pelicans? Are the Clippers poised for another early playoff exit? And if that happens, will Kawhi Leonard leave Los Angeles? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.